welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game.
Like chess. I'm sick of that joke.
Yeah, I think that maybe the third time you did that.
I think it's actually maybe the 14th.
We'll have to see. Let's meet the panel.
Andrew.
Kaila.
Charlie.
And Josh. Alrighty then. What are we going over today, Dan?
The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay. One of the greatest short stories that's ever been, and perhaps the greatest horror fiction short story that there's ever been. That or The Monkey's Paw. But what's the question?
Do you feel that this story was inspired by a real-life occurrence or designed as a general horror story?
May I take the bullet and roll with it first?
Yeah, you start.
Okay. I think at the time of Edgar Allan Poe, there was a lot of stuff going on at that time. Was it Civil War going on?
No, that was before.
No, I'm sorry.
This is the 1840s.
This is why I failed history class too. This is 1843 right here. So yeah. Okay. No, really, for some reason to me that time period was really dark, especially coming from our good friend Edgar Allan Poe, and being that it's coming from something that may have happened in his childhood, and he's writing from maybe.
Edgar Allan Poe had a traumatizing life.
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe watched his mother
So yeah.
die.
This is exactly what I'm,
But
and it's just for me the 1800s was just whatever that time period was just really dark in my opinion because,
I would say it's a little bit of both because
okay, all right, you could say that, yeah.
I took a class trip in my junior year to Edgar Allan Poe's house in Philadelphia, and I got a tour.
But how was the cream cheese in Philadelphia? They have Philadelphia cream cheese?
They actually use a different brand.
Yeah.
I wonder if
It's called
those.
cream cheese.
I'm just gonna shut up now.
But we went into the way that they set it up. It's they don't have any furniture because they don't want to improvise. They just want to leave things as naturally as possible.
I see.
In his bedroom, he had this slot below the plank. The wooden floors, there was a slot which someone would put their money in there. Mm-hmm. And Edgar Allan Poe probably had that idea, what if we took a human body and stuffed it in there?
Okay.
But
I'd rather put money in there. Sorry, no, I don't have any money. No. If that's the IRS at my door for some whatever reason. No money. But we have a dead body. Oh, never mind.
yeah, that's what caught up to him when the cops
No, he had a really nasty chocolate. It's not every day you watch your mom or your dad, So, and that sticks with you. Stuff like that will stick with you,
Anybody from this end of the panel?
Whenever I read anything by Poe, I
Oh,
get the
no.
feeling that he wasn't writing for other people to read it. He didn't care that other people were going to read it. He didn't care what other people thought of his work. He was just a severely disturbed man, and he wrote what was in his head. He wrote because he had to, not because he wanted to tell a story.
You had
I
to.
think that really reflects the way that he was, because he was he had a job as a critic, and he also what he was trying to publish never got published.
Right.
I wonder why. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean, I don't think they.
When you write for yourself, it becomes a bit more difficult. It's usually the easiest way to get published is to conform to the cookie cutouts.
I love cookies.
Exactly.
Don't start.
And I don't think he did that at all.
And
Yeah.
if you were to go the morbid route and really explore the darkness and the depth that he was going to, this was a whole week of him going into the room. He was laying it all out. He was going to be just dark, and he looked, and you're with him too at the same time he does it. He's staring at the eye the whole week, and throughout the whole week he's just professing his sanity. Would a sane man be this calculated? And he's just he's just bent on ending this eye, this man.
But yet it's still insane, the fact that he's just doing it in general. There are probably other ways that you can rid yourself of some guy and his creepy-looking eye don't show up to his house. Get a hobby.
Yeah.
Right? Get a job.
Yeah.
Back then, it was a
Yeah.
lot easier to get a job than it is today. Oh, look, a spider.
But do we just want to go? If anybody had any?
But like I said, being that I consider this a dark time period because well, first of all, lamps were very, very sparse in the street, and that was a really
So
bad
both
joke.
metaphorically and actually.
Yeah, and also with the chimneys, this is also, like I said, not doing too good in my history, as you can tell. But later on, I think about 20 years later, there we have the Civil War. So, but then you have all the smoke and pollution, and this is now we have the Industrial Revolution going on. Near this time, but just flat say it's around this time period, and what happens? Smoke everywhere. Smoke, soot.
Yeah.
Kids coming home and they're all like, "Hey, Mom, I'm a chimney sweeper." I might be going on a little bit of a rant here, so I'm sorry. Excuse me, but still, And then of course, cars had no headlights back then. They had little tiny. I don't know.
I don't think there were no cars.
No, so you're right. So there was no cars on the
I
street.
think they had brooms.
Hmm?
Brooms.
Yeah, brooms. That's it.
Horses, buggies.
Yep.
Phaetons.
Lamps, oil lamps. They would have used.
Already. Next question.
How reliable do you find the narrator?
I don't think reliability is his issue. More so the fact that he has this. His mental priorities are a bit warped,
Yeah.
and he is. I would say he's insane to the. He's a psychopath.
I
say
put it
that.
right here.
That's much better.
In my notes, I put nutcase. And of course, that's not sugarcoating it. That's
Yeah, I would say he belongs in the nut house.
peanuts, almonds, cashews.
Already.
I'm not quitting my day job.
Anybody have a more reasonable stance as opposed to having to do with nuts?
I don't think this narrator calls for a reasonable stance. He's
No.
not reasonable, so I don't think we have to be reasonable at all when it comes to him.
I will.
It's crazy.
I will say this: he was methodic about it, but that just proves how insane someone is. Like, let's say I get fired from my job as a substitute teacher, or whatever, and I have no money to go out and buy cookies and Snapple and junk food that keeps me sane half the time. And I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
I just not really, but like it's like this maybe was his fix. Of course the eye, whatever, was his fixation. He had to have it, or he wanted it, or he just couldn't stand it, or vice versa.
And at no point did he ever profess his innocence.
I don't think he did.
He didn't stress it. He was just really adamant that he was sane through the whole time because he was so calculated. But then
That's it.
after it was done, it was celebratory. He purposely put the chair above the floorboard for the police to talk to him, and that seems to be like a motif, like with a lot of Poe, like in the Black Cat. Like he got really cocky, and then he was like knocked on it, and like he gets really excited at the end when he's coming through with the murder, and then it somehow, whether internally or externally, it snaps. And
I get the argument. The Black Cat and the Telltale Heart are both very similar to one another.
yeah, very much.
Only one includes a cat that is disturbing this man. A cat and a woman.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anything about that one.
And instead of the floorboards, it is
It's like a chimney flue.
chimney flue.
Yeah.
And there's a spot in his basement that could have inspired that.
Oh, in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Correct.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. Because I was there once too, like really briefly. Yeah.
And that was pretty
That's pretty awesome.
surreal.
So you have both stories at that place.
That and
Possibly.
you have Annabelle Lee as well, which
Oh, right?
yeah, you have his Virginia's bedroom because they slept in separate rooms all the time. But anybody have any thoughts that we didn't go over?
I don't think so.
If you haven't read it, put it on the to read list. Not a beach read because that's something I would. This is first of all,
It's very quick and
Yeah.
impactful.
yeah,
So-
but it's also
They teach this as early as intermediate school.
That's
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Even,
I remember reading this like way back in intermediate school.
I read
I'd
it
be
in
surprised
7th
if
grade.
I remember when I
haven't
stopped
read
eating
But-
sand.
Mhm.
Here's your high school
That-
diploma.
That's
No.
assuring.
I'm just kidding.
I wonder if this guy ate sand before.
He may have.
It's
He
possible.
may have.
Yeah, for all we know. But
Good fiber.
if you're interested in checking out The Telltale Heart and anything else he's written, you can check out this mammoth, Edgar Allan Poe, Complete Tales and Poems. Already, I'll take that, Charles. And this
feel like I'm in
includes
church.
everything from The Black Cat, The Fall of the House of Usher, Mask of
How
the
does
Red Death,
73
Cast of
Amontillado.
Amontillado,
I
thank you.
love wine.
The Raven and the Bells, Annabelle Lee. Just, you name it, it's in here. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.